Right. Shalom, y'all. Bashim al Shabakta. Y'all Shema Thumb Bashim al Shah. Priest and Officer 1000 Mathumya out of I.S.U.P.K. started 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command of YAHANNA. We've been teaching the truth about the Bible and teaching that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are God's chosen people according to the Bible. You understand? And we're going to continue, to push this truth. You understand, until the mission is complete. And now, do it in Espanol. Soy el oficial Mathomia de la Escuela Israelita de Conocimiento Práctico Universal, una organización que comenzó en la calle 125, 1 Weste, Harlem, Nueva York, bajo el mando del general YAHANNA. Enseñamos que los negros, los hispanos y los nativos americanos son familia y son el pueblo elegido de Dios, según la Biblia. And now we're here for the Brotherhood Class. You understand? And, we're going to get into a few things. The first scripture I want to get, the first precept I want to grab, is Zephaniah 2:1, based on what is happening today, what's happening around us, you understand, and knowing the times that we're in. Because if you're looking at what's going on the news, it's seeming like we're, the Lord's second coming is approaching very quickly based off these prophecies in the Bible. And it's very important that we understand what we must do, so we be prepared for these times that's ahead of us. All right. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1 says, "Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desire." When it's saying gather yourselves together, it's talking about the nation of Israel. It's talking about the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You understand? It's proven all throughout the Old Testament, so like all throughout the Bible, that Black people are the real Israelites of the Bible. Black people, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites. And you could tell in the prophecies in the book of Deuteronomy, 28th chapter, that whole chapter gives you, prophecies on proving that we're the Israelites. But nonetheless, it says, "Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desired." Meaning Black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, we have to come together. And where do we come together at? Because, a lot of times we could be thinking we got to all gather into a church. And if you think about it, we've been doing that for a while now. We've been doing that for a very, 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 very long time. For a long time, we've been in the Christian church, singing and dancing, singing along with all the songs they got up in there, banging all the tambourines, making our men weak in there. You understand? We've been doing that for a very, very long time. And why haven't nothing changed? Maybe it's because they're not the house of God. Maybe it's because they're not the real, men of God up in there. You understand? It says, "Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired." So what that means is Black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, we got to come together. And where you come together at? Into the I.S.U.P.K, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, since 1969 has been bringing out this truth. You understand that we got to come back together. You know what I mean? We got to come back together because we have to come together under one banner. You understand? Under one mind, one spirit. You understand? Paraphrasing it. We have to get together in here, in the truth, because this is the home of the truth. So when we come together in here, and then we, get the brainwashing off of us, because in these classes is the best place on the planet to learn the truth. We're going to tell you about your pastor that you love so much and that you, went to go see your whole life, or was forced to see your whole life because you was living with people with a Christian family, You understand? But now we're gonna wash off all the brainwashing that you have had to endure or had to, suffer from your whole life. You know what I mean? One of the things they tell you is that, God loves everybody. We wipe that clean off. You understand? When the book of Romans 9th chapter, verse 13, it says, you know what I'm saying, that God hates. Paraphrasing, you know what I mean? How he hates Esau. You understand? So we have to understand, like, we can't, you know what I mean? We gotta get back together in the truth, in the home of the truth, where you learn who your enemies are. Like I was just saying, the Most High hates Esau. That's our enemy, and that's the one that's that you know what I mean that's the nation that was used to put us in captivity today. You understand, for our disobedience. But now we got a chance to actually get back. We got a chance to get back right. You have the chance to get back right only due to the grace and mercy of the Lord, of the Most High, in sending Jesus Christ. You understand? That's what the world ignorantly knows. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That's the name everybody ignorantly knows. But his real name is Yahushua Mashiach. You understand? But he sent Jesus Christ to come and save us. You know what I mean? Out of his grace and mercy. And now we have another shot at, you know what I mean, getting this kingdom. You know what I mean? And the way you do it is by your actions. First step is coming into the truth. I.S.U.P.K, step in our classes. You know, understand all different zones for the most part, all zones. Yeah, for the most part, we have classes Monday through Friday, you know what I mean, from 7 to 9 o'clock. And you know, it should, you know, it would behoove you to, you know, come to class and you know, come with a pen and a notepad and learn. You understand? Because right now, outside of these doors, there's a lot of unalive. There's a lot of, you understand, people losing their life outside these doors. A lot of, you know, children, you know what I mean, losing their lives outside these doors. It's a lot of danger outside these doors. You understand that we have to, you know, that will not happen if you are in here. That won't happen once you're in here and you change your life. So that, you know, the Lord can watch over you and protect you. You understand? In doing so, we teach you how to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? We'll tell you that eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster is evil and it's an abomination to the Most High. It's an abomination unto us. You understand? And all things we be saying, it comes straight out the Bible. So, you know, we'll tell you to do those things. We'll tell you not to, you know, indulge in the things that of this empire, you know, the things that this empire deems as righteous, the things that this country, this place here, this captivity we in deems as, you know, something that we supposed to be doing, or is deemed nothing wrong with, you know what I'm saying, with these certain events and days that they observe. You understand? We have to know that this place is not our rest. So when it says, you know, gather yourselves together, gather together, O nation not desired, it means you got to get up in this truth. You got to get up in this truth, understand, and stand strong against all the forces that come up against us and try to, you know what I mean, knock us off our pivot and doing what the Lord says. You understand? So, like, you know what I mean? One thing, too, like, this is so many things that try to get us from not keeping the words of the Most High, you know what I mean, serious, not following what he said to do. You know what I mean? Like, one of the things that's a snare and a trap is, like, one thing that we all have to go through in our lives is going through public school systems. That's terrible and don't do their job correctly. Don't do their jobs correctly because we're a lot of times we underfunded, and a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, it's just these public school systems is like overlooked, cleaning it up a little bit now, but you know what I mean, this is just ain't where it should be. And you know, imagine how much of a self-esteem boost a black little kid would, you know, have, or a Latino little kid would have, and knowing that Christ looked just like them, that Jesus Christ looks just like them, came up from the same ghetto that they came from. Imagine, you know what I mean, a little, you know, young black child, a young, you know, Puerto Rican child grows up and knowing that, you know, Christ came from the same you know, environments that he came from, had to suffer the same struggles that they have suffered. You understand? Like Christ came where Christ came from, from a ghetto. He was from the hood. Nazareth was was a terrible place. You know what I mean? So like, it was said in the Bible, what great can come out of Nazareth? That's what they said about Nazareth in the Bible. And relations to Christ, in relation to Christ, they were shocked that the Son of God would come out of Nazareth. That's how terrible of a place that was. And that's the ghetto, that's the hood, that's Trenton, New Jersey, that's Philadelphia. You understand? That's all these ghettos that we live in. You know what I mean? And guess what? Christ lived the same life we had. He had the same problems and issues he had to deal with. You know what I mean? That he got past as we had. You know what I mean? So, and imagine how much of a self-esteem boost that would be for our kids growing up. But instead, they gotta learn about all the other stuff. You know what I mean? They gotta learn and watch Superman on the TV screen, on an oppressor as a so-called superhero on the screen. Look up to him his whole life. You understand? And don't have no black male figure to really look up to that's solid. You understand? I just seen some. I see this every now and again, but I seen it last time I think I seen it was like last week. The Disney is catching flack for some new character they had out, which is called Durag Man. It's some dude called Durag Man. It's a black man with a do rag over his forehead, over his eyes, and he has his eyes poking out the do rag, and they call him Do Rag Man. With I forget what colors he dressed up in, but like that's what they leave for our kids to have. That's the role model. That's what type of figure they want our kids to look up to. That stuff right there, and let alone we look on the news, and then it's all so like all the crazy things that's said about us on television, demonizing us. You understand? And it's never gonna stop. So that's why we're here to let you know and let everybody know, let our people know, most importantly, that Christ is a black man. Christ is a black man, and I can get it for you for proof in the Bible. You understand? I'm gonna go to Revelations. I'm gonna go to Revelation chapter 1. All right, y'all meet me there. I'm gonna read. It says the revelation of Jesus Christ. So when you look at the word revelation, you read the word revelation. The word revelation means to reveal. It means to reveal something. All right. So let's see what what the Lord is going to reveal to us here. So I'm gonna go ahead and skip down to verse. I'm skip down to verse 13. All right. So it's the book of Revelations, chapter 1, verse 13. And in the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man. So who's the Son of Man? The Son of Man is Christ. And what is talking about with the seven candlesticks? What is that talking about? What that mean? Seven candlesticks is the seven churches that Christ was over. You know what I'm saying? That Christ was over, that Paul built up. All right, but Christ is over it. All right, so now I'm gonna read on. It says, clothed with a garment down to the foot. So if you paid attention to the men of the Lord here in the I.S.U.P.K, you know what I'm saying? A lot of times at our Passovers, our high holy days, holy convocations, you will see us wearing these garments. You even at Kent, a lot of times, you'll see us with garments on. You know what I mean? A garment that's all the way down to the foot. It's a famous picture of Captain Shapar out of Philadelphia. You know what I mean? That green garment he used to wear back in the day, right? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the point is Christ had a garment that went all the way down to the foot. You know what I mean? Nothing like that Roman toga that, Caesar Borgia, or how everybody else would know what I'm talking about. that you know, I mean, that oppressive version of Jesus Christ. You understand, that little beach boy they got portraying Christ. You know what I'm saying? That's a Roman toga he has on in all them paintings and pictures that he has. You know what I'm saying? That's not a garment. That's not, you know, a Hebrew garment, Israelite garment. That's not no warlike apparel. You understand? That's a LGBTQ, you know what I mean, piece of clothing that Caesar Borgia got. All right. So now I'm gonna read on. It says, and girt about the paps with the golden girdle. You know what I mean? So Christ had a golden girdle. You know what I mean? So the girdle, you know what I mean, for everybody to understand, a girdle is something that a man of war will wear in the past, where he would, you know, have his midsection tucked in. You understand? Everything was held tight. You understand? So if he, you know, whenever he at in battle, or he's going out to war, he's able to, you know, I mean, swing his weapons and all that, and his stomach could be held tight, kept in tight. You understand? But Christ didn't have no regular girdle on; he had a golden girdle. You know what I'm saying? In the book of Daniel, you understand, 10th chapter, you know, where it also prophesies Christ in the Old Testament. You understand? It also talks. It gives you something similar to what it says here, but it also adds on. It says like he had on the fine his girdle. Excuse me, was the fine of the gold of the fine. It was the fine gold of Uphaz. Salakia. Excuse me. Yeah, it was the fine gold of Uphaz, meaning like it was the, you know, the best of the best gold he can get. You know what I mean, for that girdle. You understand? So he had a golden girdle. It wasn't just no regular girdle. He had a golden girdle. All right, I'm gonna read on, and this already does not fit the description of that beach boy Jesus Christ that they want us to believe is Christ. That does not match, you know what I mean, what it says in there. And so like it doesn't match with this, it doesn't match with that image portrays, you know what I'm saying, that all of our family members have in our households. All of our you know what I mean, our grandmothers, our aunties, and you know what I mean, our mothers, you know what I'm saying, they got that image in their crib, you know what I mean, and we even had to grow up looking at that picture, praying to that picture, you know what I mean. What's the other one? I can't remember right now. Uh Jesus Cristo, you know, and Santa Maria and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We praying to all these, you know, idols growing up, thinking that they really, you know, I mean, they really, you know, God and all that stuff. But in reality, we was taught wrong. We was taught wrong, and blame the Christian church for that. You understand? Now we about to learn the truth. Now I'm gonna go read on to verse 14. It says, his head and his hairs were white like wool. So when you hear that, for Christians in the back or people that love their slave masters, would be like, you see, it says white like wool. Now, for anybody that has a brain, if you listen to it, right, if you read it, or for people that just don't understand, you know what I mean? It says his head and his hairs were white like wool, meaning the hairs on his head. The hairs on his head, you understand? And the hairs and his hairs, talking about the hairs on his face, you know, his beard and all that, were white like wool. Because keep in mind, pay attention with the context and all that, right? It says white like wool, white being the color, wool being the texture. You understand? Oh, 1 second, Salaki. All right. Yeah, so white being the color, wool being the texture. So it's talking about, you know, I mean, the white woolly hairy hair. Like if you look at my hair, like it's wooled out right now. You know what I mean? I'm wooled out. All this you know, this hair is like wool. You know what I mean? It's a woolly hair texture. You understand? But Christ's hair was white, woolly hair. He had a full head of white hair. That's what it's saying right there. All right. So now we read on, it says as white as snow. There it goes again. Like he had a full head of white hair, a white woolly hair. You understand? And to, also get Christians on this again, that Jesus that y'all got in that church hanging up there, that, oppressor version of Jesus Christ, you understand? Not version, that oppressor up there, y'all got portraying Jesus Christ. You understand? He doesn't have woolly hair. That's doggy, shrinky hair that oppressor has in there that y'all, holding up on a pedestal like he's God, like he's, the son of man. Nah, he's not, because he doesn't fit that description. You understand? He doesn't fit that description. He doesn't have white woolly hair. He has blonde, shrinky hair. That's a cut for Christians right there. And why this ain't never been taught to our people. This ain't never been taught in the churches, and even them blackity black churches. Ain't never been Christ's image in the Bible has never been taught. You understand? You got to charge these pastors for holding back the truth. You know what I'm saying? Not wanting the truth to be out. And the only reason why they know now Christ is black is because they've been hearing what we saying. They've been hearing they've been hearing us break down these precepts and these scripts for decades. You understand? Proving that Christ is black, that the Israelites is black. But they just don't want to bring it out because they worrying about, they don't want to be looked at like how we looked at. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to be hated like we hated for telling the truth. You understand? They want to, make sure that they still have people coming in there blindly walking in their church and giving them money. You understand? For nothing, for lying to them and making them feel good instead of telling them what they need to hear. You see, what the UPK, what we gonna do? What the UPK is gonna do is we're gonna give you medicine. You know what I mean? You're not gonna like it. You're not gonna you're not gonna like how it tastes going down. You're not gonna like how you ain't gonna mess with any of that. You know what I mean? You're not gonna like it. It's not gonna be a good, experience for the most part, listening to what we have to say and us telling you the truth. But it's medicine nonetheless. It's gonna make you feel better nonetheless. It's gonna make you, the point is it's gonna take the sickness away. And that sickness is that, demon that has you loving everybody, like the church tells us to. I'm gonna get back to the precept. It says verse 15. Oh no, Salaki, in the middle of verse 14. Excuse me. And his eyes were as a flame of fire. So his eyes was as a flame of fire, meaning like, his eyes was red. He had red eyes. You know what I mean? I just brought my little one, my little man to the school in Upper Darby in Philly just recently. And he's seen the big giant picture of Yahweh up there, who the world ignorantly knows as Jesus Christ, on the wall. He's seen that picture up there. He was like, "Who's that? Who's that?" I said, "Yeah, that's Jesus right there. That's how he really looking." He said, "He has red eyes." Yeah, you understand? Like he had, like, what I mean, and that's what needs to be taught to our kids, knowing that Jesus looked just like them, man. That's what needs to be taught. You understand? Imagine, the confidence that it gives to a young man, a young brother, you know what I mean, growing up in the hood and all that. Imagine what, type of courage and confidence that it give a young man. So this has to be taught more, no matter how much we hear it all the time. This got to be taught more for people that might not have heard it. You understand? So let's get it. It says, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And if you also read the Bible, it talks about on how Christ's eyes was red with wine. You understand? People even accuse him of being a wine bibber. People even, the Sadducees and Pharisees, who I'm talking about, who are today the Christian church today in today's times. You understand? They, they was like, charging him and saying he was a wine bibber. You know what I mean? Because Christ liked to drink wine, but he was. They try to lie and say he was a drunkard and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But that goes to show you, what I mean, his eyes was red with wine. Black men like taking a drink sometime. You know what I mean? That happens. Or where the whites of our eyes turn red. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna read on. It says, Verse 15, and his feet like unto fine brass. His feet like unto fine brass, like, you know what I mean? Key word in that. And his feet, talking about his actual, you know, his feet. So what color was his feet? It says his feet like, and his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace. You understand? So imagine if you take fine brass, you know what I mean? Imagine you take a penny and then you throw that in a furnace. You throw that, you know, into, you know what I mean, a big fiery furnace, right? And you take it out. It's gonna turn, it's, you know, it's gonna come out black. It's gonna come out black. You understand? It's gonna come out black. Throw anything in the fire, in the furnace. You know what I mean? It's gonna turn black. So what is the Bible saying right here? What is the Bible saying? The Bible is saying Christ, his skin color was black. Is very dark. You understand? The Bible is implying, is saying that Christ is a black man. And we have to, you know, I mean, constantly push this and teach this, because if we don't, they're gonna constantly lie about Christ being black. They're gonna say nonsense about on how Christ is olive skin tone. You know what I mean, which don't even make sense. Like how Captain Zariak be breaking down, be saying, like, you know, so okay, you got two different types of olives. You got a green olive and you got a black olive. Which one is you talking about? Like, which one you talking about? You saying somebody's green now, like a green skin tone, skin color? Is that what you're saying? Like, you know what I mean? A lot of things people be trying to say and all the lies they trying to put out there don't add up for real if you really listen to what they saying. How can a man be olive skin tone, you know what I mean, when you got green olives out here? Nobody's green. You know what I mean? But there are black people. There are people that's dark. You understand? And guess what? It says right here, you know what I mean, in this Bible, that Christ, you know what I mean, is a black man. He's a black man. You know what I mean? And this is something that needs to be taught constantly. And I charge these churches for not even bringing out the fact that Christ is a black man. They've been hearing us saying what we've been saying for you know, I mean, a whole, you know, how many decades it's been, like, you know, about to be what, you know what I mean, damn near 5-6 decades, you understand, on us talking about, you know, proving that Christ is a black man. So why in the hell ain't y'all going and teaching y'all people that? Why y'all withholding information? Why do y'all care about, you know what I mean, the people that's in there? Or are you really that wolf, that, you know what I mean, that, you know, that predator preying on the sheep in, you know, in the church that, you know, Isaiah, that the book of Isaiah talk about? You understand? Are you that? Or are you, you know what I mean, really trying to be a shepherd to them people? You know what I mean? You're not doing it because you're lying to them and, you know, taking all their money. And now they got to go back to the hood. And now they got to go back, excuse me, and they got to go back to poverty, you know what I mean, with nothing to show for it, all that, with all that money they gave y'all. And they just got to live like that. They got to let that be their life every week. Every week they got to go in that church, you know what I'm saying, and get gamed out of their money, lied out of their money. You know what I mean? Y'all lying the money out their pockets, and now they, you know, they just deal with it because I guess that money is the exchange for that piece of that drug called, you know, Christianity. You know what I mean? That happiness, that so-called happy feeling they have leaving the church. When, you know what I mean, it's all witchcraft, man. It's witchcraft. You ain't serving God up in there. And this is also, I'm gonna give another precept. So yeah, man, that need to be taught in these churches. But they're not gonna do it because that's the house of Satan. They're not gonna do it. That's the whole point. They're not gonna do it. The only people that's teaching you this is the I.S.U.P.K, because we are the home of the truth. This need to be taught in schools, in actual, you know what I mean, this need to be in the curriculum of schools, you know what I mean, that our kids goes to. You understand? This need to be in our curriculum. You know what I mean? You want to show us, you know what I mean, Martin Luther King all goddamn day, all damn every damn year. Y'all want to put Martin Luther King up and, you know, prop him up in the front. You understand? And have us thinking that what he's taught to us was something good and something righteous, something for us to pick up and, you know, pass down to our families for generations and generations, when we ain't gonna have no generations and generations of, you know family listening to him. We all gonna perish. We all gonna, you know get unalive listening to him like we are now. Because believe it or not, we living in his dream today. You understand? We right beside our oppressors. We right beside our oppressors, and you know what I'm saying, we getting unalived by our oppressors. You know what I mean? And there you go. You know what I mean? Sweet dreams, right? You know that Martin Luther King had. You understand? I'm gonna get another precept on what we was just talking about. Little book of Proverbs. Proverbs, the Old Testament. Bear with me. One second. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. My bad. Slagia. The book of Job. The book of Job, chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. If you look at this world today, look at this society, because that's what the word world means. The word world means age of society. You understand? It means age of society. If you look at this world we in the society we in, you'll see how our oppressors rule over everything. You see how they have absolute power in this place here. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because they rule this world we're in. You understand? I'm gonna read on. It says, "He covereth the faces of the judges thereof." He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, meaning this, which is so heavy that, you know what I mean, this precept, what this precept is saying, it says, "He covereth the faces of the judges thereof." Talking, one of the things we just broke down was how Christ, you know what I'm saying, Jesus Christ, Yahushua Mashiach, you know what I mean, he had his face, you know what I mean, covered. He had his face covered, brain like whitewashed into thinking, whitewashed into a image of Caesar Borgia. Who is Caesar Borgia? We brought his name up probably about like 10 times this class. Caesar Borgia is the, you know, son of Pope Alexander VI of Rome. You understand? Who had incest with his sister Lucretia. It's a well-known crime family. They're a bunch of criminals. You understand? And he also was the LGBTQ lover of Leonardo da Vinci, who painted him as Jesus Christ during the Renaissance era. You understand? This is what happened. This is, you know what I mean, the things that, you know, this is the evil of Esau right here. This is the evil of Esau. During the Renaissance era, the Renaissance era, that's after they came through. All the you know what I mean, the oppressors came through and, you know, whitewashed everything. They whitewashed everything from everybody being black to white. There's even pictures in books. What's the book that we usually grab that I can't remember off the top of my head? But it's a book that we grab, right? Let me see if I could remember. I ain't gonna spend too much time trying to think about it. But all right, it's gonna come to me. But it's a book that we grab here in the UPK that's probably about like, it's probably $1,500, $1,000 right now. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like back in the past, like in the 80s, in the 90s, you could get that book, for that same book I'm talking about, for like what, $10, maybe $15. But today it's $1,000. You know what I mean? Why? Because the truth is in there, revealing on how, you know, these oppressors are painting black images of Christ, black images of Moses, black images of, you know what I'm saying, the apostles, you know what I'm saying, from being black to white. You know what I mean? Yahushua, Mashiach, Jesus Christ's mother, Mary, black image of Mary, turned white. You understand? That's what the Renaissance era was. They did a lot of that's all they did. You know what I mean? They whitewashed everything. So now you got all these white images of prominent figures in our you know what I mean, in our nation. You understand? And that's what this precept is talking about. That's what this precept is talking about right here. Job 9:24. It says, yeah, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. That's what happened. You know what I mean? Our oppressors is ruling today. You understand? It says, he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. And that's exactly what he did too. He also did that. You know what I mean? We also say here in the UPK, like, give it another, you know what I mean, another century or so. Like, you know what I mean, if Christ ain't back yet, they're going to say Michael Jackson is white. They're going to say Michael Jackson was an oppressor. They're going to say that. They're going to lie about that. Knowing good and damn well, you know what I'm saying, he was a, you know, young man, had a fro, you know what I mean, almost looked good as mine. When I saw, I'm joking, but like, you know what I mean, he had a fro, he had a, not a, you know what I mean, an afro and a big nose, like Negroes do. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean, we'll try to, you know, erase that history, and you know, just say, nah, he was an oppressor. Give it some time. They'll try to lie about it and say that. You know what I mean? There's people out now. It's like oppressors out there right now trying to imitate and look like how Michael Jackson was, you know what I mean, during his later years, you know, his later years in life, where he had the, you know, the bleach skin and all that stuff like that, and the surgery and things and the straight hair. There's oppressors out there trying to portray that image right now. You know what I mean? Give it time. That'll happen. And you know what I mean? They'll talk about how Michael Jordan was black. I mean, was white and all that stuff too. You know what I mean? It wasn't oppressing. You know what I mean? We have to understand that these are some devils that's you know, amongst us, that's ruling over us. They're a bunch of beasts. You understand? And why? And it ain't far-fetched calling them beasts. They hunting black people down just like predators do. They hunting black people down like predators hunt, you know what I mean, like the damn jaguar hunts, you know what I mean, caiman. You understand? They hunting us down like, you know what I mean, lions hunt down, you know what I'm saying, you know, pigs and stuff like that. They hunt us down and they treating us like they prey, because that's exactly what we are right now without the Lord's protection. Without the Lord's protection, man, we you know what I mean, we open for all types of attacks. You know what I mean? We you know, we open for all the attacks that they want, for any attack they want to lay on us. You know what I'm saying? Because we not doing what the Lord says. Once we do what the Lord says, the Lord will protect us. You understand? It wouldn't be no, you know what I mean, it wouldn't be affected by all the things, you know, Esau try to do. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying before, like if our sons and our daughters knew Christ was black, and you know, everybody in the Bible was black, you know what I mean, all the prominent figures in the Bible was black, like damn, that'll give us that. I know for damn sure it'll do something for our kids. It'll do something for our young ones. They'll be coming back home from school talking about, dang, daddy, guess what I learned? I learned, you know what I mean, I learned Moses was black. I learned, you know what I'm saying, I learned that, you know, the Israelites in the Bible was black and all that stuff. But that's no sweat. The school system don't got to do that, because if we're going to spread this truth in the I.S.U.P.K and the Israelite School Universal Practical Knowledge, we're going to spread this truth and everybody going to know. You know what I mean? There's people out there know right now that can't say it. And, you know what I mean, and mess with what we said. You know what I mean? So we're going to continue to do this, do this thing here that we doing the truth and spreading the knowledge of the Lord. You know what I mean? We're going to get it done. You understand? And like I was saying before, the Lord will protect us. He will guide us, you know what I mean, in the way we need to go. You know what I'm saying? If we follow what he says to do, if we follow what he say to do, not what your pastor says to do, How you know what the Lord said for you to do. You know what I mean? It's very easy. Just follow Commander Junior Han, you know what I'm saying, in the I.S.U.P.K, who's over and leads the I.S.U.P.K under Christ. You understand? Because he follows Christ. And he gonna make sure all of us in here follow Christ. So now, you know what I mean, just follow him. We're gonna teach you how to, and his men that he put in place to teach this Bible, you know what I mean, all the captains and officers in the UPK to teach this Bible, you know what I mean, in this entirety, and this in and all the truth that it has in the Bible. We're gonna spread it through to our people throughout all the world. All right. I'm gonna get another precept based on what I was just saying. Isaiah 29. Am I right? 1 second. Let's go. That ain't what I'm looking. 1 second. 1 second. Oh, I know. Isaiah chapter 40. Chapter 49. Chapter 49, verse 25. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah chapter 49, verse 25. You know what I mean? And like, you know what I mean? It brings up the thought in my head. You know what I mean? I spoke with a sister from Venezuela, and talked about on how, you know what I mean, her family is out there and they poor and they in poverty and they suffering. They don't have, the means to help themselves out there for real. And then she talked about on how, the struggles that she faced here, like she, is alone. She's by herself out here, don't have anybody, you know what I mean, no family, no nothing. Even, you know what I mean, close relatives is out there, you know what I mean? Everybody's out there that she knows. She's out here by herself. And she talks about how the struggles on that she faced out here is out here with ICE. Well, ICE and Trenton and all that, and they out here heavy every other day. I'm hearing about on how they arresting, detaining, a brother over here, brother over there. You know what I mean? Breaking up a family over that way, insuring and all that stuff. You understand? You know what I mean? Like, this is what's happening to us. Like, they are, putting a damn target. They got a target on our back. We have a target on our back. As the whole nation of Israel, the whole 12 tribes of Israel have targets on our back. You know what I mean? The Negro, the Puerto Rican, the Dominican, the Venezuelan, the Mexican brother, the Haitians, the West Indians. We have targets on our backs. You understand? And they doing the best they can to destroy us. You know what I mean? We just brought out a couple weeks ago, on how ICE has more in their budget than the Marine Corps, than the U.S. Marine Corps. And the Marine Corps is like, it's a prominent, it's prominent within the U.S. military. It's a prominent branch within the, U.S. military. And Trump is not funding, the Marine Corps like they do in ICE. He's funding ICE way more deliciously than he's funding the U.S. Marine Corps, than he's funding the Marine Corps specifically. Understand? Like, that goes to show you who they real enemies are, who they feel like in their eyes, in their mind, is their true enemies. You understand? They put it's like $80 billion poured into ICE and all that. And the Marine Corps is like 56 billion, around that area. You know what I'm saying? $56 billion, when ICE is getting like a whopping $80 billion. He sees like it's more important to it's more important to destroy and, you know what I mean, to terrorize these Latinos, these black people, these niggas over here. Is more important to antagonize and to, you know what I mean, be brutal to them than it is to really deal with the enemies that's actually harming their soldiers over there in the Middle East. You understand? Goes to show you who they real enemies are, who they really feel like is their real enemy, who their real threat is. You understand? Because they know once we get up and we start, you know what I mean, keeping the Lord's commandments in the Bible, you know what I mean, then we'll rise up. Something crazy. The Lord will rise us up out the grave. Something crazy. You know what I mean? The good news for us is, you know what I mean, we already here in the I.S.U.P.K. We building this nation up here before the world's eyes. And they don't even know what they're looking at. You know what I'm saying? Like, we doing it up in here. And the Lord is with us in here. He's working with us up in here. And all I can say for our brothers and sisters out there, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, is that I pray you come up in here. You know what I mean? You come up in here and learn the brotherhood we learn up in here. Learn the truth like we learned it. You know what I'm saying? And then you go about your way and do the same. But it's, you know, it takes, you know what I mean, your first step is coming into class. Your first step is coming into class, keeping your mouth shut and learning everything. Learning in all Black. You understand? Coming in all Black and learning everything you have to learn, you know what I mean, to be the man you need to be. The Most High needs you to be the, you know, the prophet, you know, the priest and prophet of the Lord needs you to be. That's where it starts. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean, our people, we got to come together. Like I brought out in the beginning of the class. You know what I mean? Zephaniah 2 and 1. Gather yourselves together. Yeah, gather together, O nation, not desire. We must come together. You know what I mean? So with that, I'm going to end the class right there. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I mean, it's been a wonderful class. You know, it's my pleasure to teach our people out there. It's my pleasure, you understand? And with that, I'm going to close the class out. Soy el oficial Matomia de la Escuela Israelita de Conocimiento Práctico Universal, una organización que comenzó en la calle 125, 1 West de Harlem, Nueva York, bajo el mando del general YAHANNA. Enseñamos que los negros, los hispanos y los nativos americanos son familia y son el pueblo, el hijo de Dios, según la Biblia. All right, so we the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. So, I'm Preaching Officer 1000, Mathumya out of I.S.U.P.K. South 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander Jerry YAHANNA. Been teaching the truth about the Bible since 1969. Truth being that Blacks, Hispanics, and the Native American Indians are God's chosen people according to the Bible, and that our oppressor is the devil the Bible speaks of. With that, I'm going to say shalom.